Ladies and gentlemen, from Ridgeway County, the greatest county on Roblox, you're watching The Ridge, starring ShadowCulture. Hey everybody, welcome back to this special episode of The Ridge. After a long hiatus, it's great to be back, especially with this exciting episode. For those first timers, I am your host, ShadowCulture, speaking to you from our studio in Milton City. Speaking of Milton, with just days away from the release, we're bringing you an exclusive interview with one of the key figures behind its release. We'll dive into the background of this much anticipated release and get some inside information that you won't want to miss. So grab a seat or keep us playing in the background because we're in for a great episode today.
Oh shit. Here we go again.
Here with me in the studio today is somebody who needs no introduction in the Roblox community. With over 16 years on Roblox, best known as the original creator of the game Hotel Elephant and the former group owner of Nusa, one of the largest and the longest running USA groups on Roblox, it's the man himself, Pauljkl.
Hi.
Paul, it's great to have you here. Thank you for joining us on this special episode of The Ridge.
Thank you for having me.
Before we deep dive into everything and all the questions that we have planned, tell us a little bit about who you are. Your rank in the group in the Discord say developer oversight, but what is your actual title and your responsibilities?
Primarily, I just do the scripting for the game. Occasionally, there's some game design for any new features that we have going out that I'll help assist with to make sure that it doesn't become a tedious task and the game actually stays fun.
So you're scripting, but syntax also scripts. So what is the breakdown with that? And then also how does that mesh in with the other two developer oversight members?
Um, Generally, syntax was brought on to assist myself. So generally, we'll split the work by the feature rather than saying, you do only this type of work and you only do this type of work. We'll say add this feature and syntax will do that, or then I'll do a different one.
Okay. And then how about the other members of the DEO team, Square and
So
David?
David is primarily for the web development. So all the logging and things like that that keep the game running so that we can make sure that there's no exploiters and whatnot. And Square's in charge of the building side.
Okay, awesome. So let's bust into the questions that we have for you. So obviously Milton is right around the corner here in a couple of hours. Um, so we have a lot of fans that are eagerly anticipating that. Can you walk us through the journey of Milton's development, and along with that, what are some of the biggest challenges that the team faced in getting it ready for its release?
Well, the biggest one is probably the split.
Now, when you say split,
Uh,
you're referencing the Noosa, the Boulder and Ridgeway split.
yeah.
Okay.
So most of the building was done while Boulder was still active.
Was that while you were on the team, or was that in your
That was while I
absence?
was off the team.
Okay.
So coming back and not seeing Canton is a little strange for me. But it seems to be decently built.
Right. What are some of the biggest challenges that you guys have faced? And I guess, with the reintegration of, Boulder and then, in getting ready after that, what are some challenges and hurdles that you've jumped over?
Well, the reintegration as well, because there was a large refactor of the work done with Boulder, and that had to be completely merged in with the existing code of Ridgeway. It meant that there was performance gains for Ridgeway, so
So
that
we've
was one of the
actually
bigger
seen some
challenges.
increases in the performance after the reintegration. Is that right?
Yeah, you should have done. So there's the parallelized guns and things like that that Syntax worked on.
Okay.
There's a bunch of other optimizations as well.
So we're looking at potentially a game that is going to run a lot smoother than it had, prior to its last, busy season. Is that right? Is that the
Yeah.
anticipation? Okay,
Well, that's the hope anyway.
right.
Roblox also released their occlusion culling, which should improve the performance on lower end devices as well.
That's absolutely exciting. So obviously, let's address the elephant in the room. With Milton, this isn't the first time that it's been told that it's going to get released, and it's certainly not the first time that it's been talked about. It's seen a couple of delays, a few delays. Can you share what might have led to these delays, and then how the team and yourself has worked to overcome them?
So as I said before, a lot of the development was actually done while Boulder was around. So far as I understand, the announcement was done because Boulder came out, which included Canton on its release. So I would assume that in an attempt to compete, they announced that Milton is on its way to deter people from playing it. So that's why there's been a large delay. The work wasn't actively being done. There was a small section done at the time of announcement, and then it's been worked on since.
So how, I mean, obviously, things like that kind of, it kind of puts a carrot on a stick and dangles it in front of people. And I'm sure that, now that there's a concerted effort being made into building and releasing Milton here soon, how have you guys overcome those hurdles to, kind of rebuild that trust and to put out a good product for the community?
Well, I don't believe in giving false dates. If I've given you a date, you're gonna get it.
Can you elaborate on that a little further? There was some talk back in, I think it was December, where Milton was being teased with being released. And while I don't think there was anything official that was published, there might have been. I can't remember offhand, but there was some teasing of dates being released in December. Do you have any information on that?
Yeah, there was a date put out, I think, for the 20th of December. Um, but having had our QA go through the game, there became large glaring bugs that would have made the release of Milton sort of fall flat, which we don't want to really have. We'd rather delay it. We understand that's
Okay.
going to upset the community, but it's better than having a bad product.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I have liked, especially about Ridgeway in comparison to some other games on the platform, is that it might take a little bit longer for the product to get released, but generally with Ridgeway's releases, the product isn't anywhere near half baked. Um, so I hope that the community can be understanding of that and understand that the intent was to release a good product instead of a product at the time that was promised.
Yeah, internally, we do know that people are going to probably show a, a disappointment with the city, and that's just purely because of how long it's been spoken about. I think it's going
Right.
on 5 years now. It's been spoken about and said, oh, it's going to release soon. So we fully anticipate people being disappointed with it and saying, "Oh, is this 5 years of work?" No, it's not. In reality, it's a few months, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think that's the important thing, and I'm glad you cleared that up in the last couple of questions. Is that it hasn't been 5 years of work like everybody thinks. It seems like it's just been something that was talked about really heavily in the past, and then here in the last few months, it's been really worked on. Um, so that's a good point to clear up. Enough about the development side. We kind of want to hear about Milton itself. Obviously, you have been on the map. You know what to expect. You've seen the map, and you've even designed the map. So our question is: are there any special landmarks or hidden elements or Easter eggs in Milton that you can let us know about that players should explore once it's released?
For those that came from Nusa, there may be a club that you recognize,
Okay, are we
which is
talking
named back to
about
our
Club
game.
Urbis?
Club Urbis does make an appearance in Milton.
That is awesome. Okay, so that'll be a good hangout spot. If it's anything like Noosa, then I'm sure we'll have governor parties there and, state visits and whatnot. So that's definitely an exciting
Yep.
addition.
We integrated it with the environmental sounds that we usually have around the map, so it'll feel like an actual club when you go in.
Okay, that is cool. Is there
There are
any
special effects in
postings of
there as
that?
well. I don't believe we posted anything about Club Urbis.
Okay. Um, do you have any other hidden elements or any Easter eggs or any other features or landmarks that people might want to check out, or any places that are kind of designed for civilians to congregate?
So you've got the club. There's potentially, we're not making the promise it's going to exist because it's not been completed just yet. We're hoping to get it as a last minute addition. A casino akin to that
Oh
from
boy.
Boulder. So all you degens out there can spend all your Ridgeway dollars on a virtual casino.
Blow your ridge bucks.
Exactly. And there is a central plaza area, so akin to what is it, McDougal Tower in Lander. There's Pinkerton Tower in Millen with a
Now I've
large
seen
open
you're
area out
speaking of
front.
plazas, and I've seen some leaked pictures. Is it true that there is going to be something that's similar to a Times Square there?
Yeah, that's just off the plaza that I'm talking about.
Do you foresee that being a hangout spot? Is it, set up for people to congregate and mingle?
Um, Ultimately, it's up to the players to decide where they congregate, right?
That's right. That's right. Okay, so how I noticed that, back when the game was getting revamped this time around, it we opened up the suggestions form again, and I think that was a really important step, showing that feedback is being taken from the community. Well, how has that feedback influenced the design and then the features of Milton?
So it meant that I'm struggling to find specific examples because I sort of read them and then catalog them and then go back through them later. Um, Trying to think of one of the examples. I believe that the train was one of the ones that we did. So the train will also run from Palmer to Milton, and that goes into a station directly under Times Square.
Is there any plans to add congestion pricing to incentivize use of public transit within Milton City?
So we sped up the train that goes between Palmer and Milton. So
Okay.
if you were being chased by the cops and got onto a train that was going to Milton, you will beat the cops there.
Okay, that's good to know. Note that down, criminals. So I wanted to move on. I think we've got a good idea of what we can expect from Milton. Well, before we move on, actually, we focused on Milton this entire segment. Um, are there any upgrades or additions or any other new features that we can expect outside of the actual city itself? Whether that's a new place to check out or explore, a new game function or feature. or obviously Milton City Police Department, but can
So
we
one of the
expect anything
things
out of that?
we are bringing to to Ridgeway is the haulage system. So you can have trailers as long as you have a CDL, which is a commercial driver's license, which will be used to purchase a semi truck.
Okay. Now,
You'll
could
then
you
purchase
elaborate on that a little bit more?
you'll purchase trailers in the port of Milton, and you'll be assigned a destination to drop them off at. Once you drop them off there, you'll be paid. Naturally, the trailers cost money to sort of buy the contract to deliver it. So if you're a criminal and you blow up the cab on the front, you could steal that trailer and deliver it and make that money.
Are there any ways that you could make beyond just hijacking the load? Are there any ways that criminals could make money off of that? Are there illicit loads or um,
I
anything beyond just stealing a trailer?
I don't believe that we're gonna add the illegal versions because um, during playtesting it didn't feel um,
Illegal enough?
yeah, it didn't feel like an increased risk. So how the illegal ones were scheduled to work was if you picked up an illegal load, purchased it, when you attach it to your trailer, the cops will get a radio notification saying there's an illegal trailer just been taken from Milton Port, and it's give a description of it. But it didn't feel like that would be enough to incentivize a cop to pull them over and basically, arrest them.
Right. That's fair enough.
So we're open to ideas on that.
I mean, you could always add bounties or something like that. Although that might, verge on crooked cop territory, but Milton City emulates New York City, so maybe that's not too far off the spec there.
Hmm.
So moving outside of the development side of Milton and more onto the Paul side, me and the viewers would like to get to know you a little bit better. So can you share what your role has been in bringing Milton to life, and then what does your typical day of development look like when you're working on the game?
Um, Generally, it's going through the QA Discord and finding what's been wrong with it. Um, and in terms of design, I've been trying to spread features out across the city because there were large sections of dead areas that there will be no reason to visit them and put features within that. I believe that
Can you elaborate on what
Square
you mean by
also
features? Like if you could
so
give us
things
a
like the haulage, like where you would pick up the trailers, put
okay.
something in the dead zone of that. Um, and then Square's also hinted that there's the shipment map somewhere. I can't even find it. I'm trying to look for it. From Call of Duty within Milton Port as well. So that's one
Oh,
of
that's cool.
their Easter eggs as well.
So what does your typical day of development look like? I mean, how long are you spending on the game at average? What are you doing when you're coding? What kind of projects have you been working on lately?
So I've been rigging up a bunch of cars as well, so you have that to look forward to.
Are you hinting that we might be getting some new cars?
I'm not hinting. I'm saying that there's a bunch of new ones
Can we
in
expect that on launch,
parallel.
or is that something that'll come a little bit
That'll
down
be
the
on
road?
launch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 new cars.
Goodness. Would you be willing to give
9 of which
RNN
are
an
civilian.
exclusive peek?
9 of them are civilian ones.
Would you be willing to give RNN an exclusive peek?
Um, Not without releasing other cars that haven't been rigged.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
There will be a Merlat Classic
Ooh,
in both a regular form and a taxi.
a taxi. Okay. A Need for
Mhm.
Speed type stuff. Okay, so what has been the most fulfilling part of bringing Milton to life and creating it for the Ridgeway community?
Well, seeing a map expansion is always fun because it's effectively added another like 30-40% onto the map size. And with it being so dense rather than it being like a state park where it's just trees, it means that you can hide a bunch of little Easter eggs here and there
Right.
to
When
make it
you're
feel a little bit more alive.
yeah. So when you're not developing Ridgeway, what are some of your favorite ways to spend time either on Roblox or outside of it?
Well, I generally work most of my days, to be honest, as an adult. Um,
Right. We're getting old.
yeah, so Ridgeway takes up a decent chunk of time, but I'll watch TV on that. Not that exciting, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I totally understand. We got bills to pay, so not a whole lot of time for partying anymore. Um, we're gonna have to cut that out. I just had a mind blank. Okay, sorry, Nico, dude. That GIF is like completely throwing me off. I'm like, it threw me into a
I gotta
trance
see
for some
it.
reason. Nasty ass. Okay, Nico can clip that out, I think. All right, Paul, can you share a fun or interesting fact about yourself that fans might not know?
No.
Paul watches TV on the weekends. How about that? That's fun and interesting, right? What's your favorite TV show, Paul? What are you watching right now?
I've been sort of watching older series, to be honest. Like I watched like the new Squid Game and that.
I haven't seen that one
Uh,
yet. I have not seen that one. My big one that I've been watching is The Silo. Have you seen that one?
no, what's it about?
It's an Apple TV show. I won't spoil too much just in case any of our viewers are watching. And but the premise of it is it's a post-apocalyptic society that, for reasons unbeknown yet, they get locked in this silo, and there's all kinds of questions of why are we here, how do we get out, is it safe to get out, that kind of stuff. It's kind of cliche when you start thinking about post-apocalypse movies and TV shows, but I think they have an interesting spin on it, especially given the fact that it's been based off of a book.
Okay, so set in a dystopian future where a community exists in a giant underground silo comprising of
Yeah.
144 levels. It stars Rebecca Ferguson as an engineer who becomes embroiled in the mysteries of its past and present. Based
Yeah,
on the
it's
book
a good show.
Whoa.
That's one to add to the watch list. Well, that's all the time that we have for today. Paul, I would like to thank you for joining us and giving us an inside look at Milton, yourself, and then everything else that's coming to Ridgeway. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
To everyone watching, thank you for tuning in to this special episode of The Ridge. Keep an eye out for the release of Milton and stay connected with us here on Channel 14, Ridgeway News Network, for all the latest updates. Until next time, stay safe and we'll see you on The Ridge.